And good morning, everybody. It is Wonderful Wednesday with Victoria Haffer. Now, Victoria, I absolutely love you. And we first met on social media. Then I met you at a networking group and we were just like, blah, 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 like this. And I just love that when I meet people, you just can't get enough of them. You know, you just like, because you're singing on the same hymn sheet. However, Victoria, you tell everybody what you do because it is so wonderful and I love it. You share, tell everybody what you do.
Sure. Thanks, Claudia. First of all, thank you so much. It's been a while since we've been together in each other's energy. So I was just really excited to get to see your beautiful face today and spend time with your audience, of course. So I've been facilitating transformation for women for over 3 decades, long time. Yeah. So mainly now, you know, it's transformed over a lot of different things. I mean, initially as a teenager, I started in the fitness and health and wellness. I was a health coach and a personal trainer and an international wellness speaker, traveling all over the world. And then I really mastered that. I did high level management and, you know, did a lot of business in regards to the health and fitness industry. And then I organically started to move into more of the spiritual aspect in yoga. So I started teaching yoga over 20 years ago, before it was on every street corner. And I lived in an ashram for over 5 years.
Oh, wow.
An ashram is a spiritual community, for those of you who don't know what that is, in Massachusetts. I'm originally from Massachusetts, and I now currently reside in Raleigh, North Carolina. So that was interesting and fascinating. And then I dove really deep into my own spiritual practice and, you know, the whole yoga meditation thing and facilitating amazing workshops and holding space for lots of people in that community, that spiritual community that was really open to, you know, anybody for the likes that wanted to come in and explore a deeper, you know, spirituality. And then I moved from there into working with people and animals on a very deep level. So that's really where I started doing a lot of my deep coaching and working with women privately and, you know, and really moved into that space of coaching, you know, groups and individual people. And my specialty is really supporting women and guiding women in healing their past, right? So typically we're so often bringing our past into our present moment. And so often that clouds our magic in the present moment to be all that we could be. So, you know, a lot of the core wounds that we have as women can be unresolved trauma, whether it be micro trauma or a macro trauma, you know, whether it's abuse. And often what gets riddled and sprinkled in there are you know, non-serving habits / addiction. So that sort of is, and a lot of times as women, we don't even realize that these things that we do that aren't serving us really are addictions, you know, in that space of that. It's anything you do habitually on the regular, on a daily basis that you know, creates negative consequences in our life. So that's what I do. I work with women. They're typically tend to be more purpose-driven, like yourself, you know, in that space, that heart-centered space, really wanting to be a giver and wanting to, you know, support the planet in that way. So short.
I know, and I love it because we both do similar work, just differently.
Yes.
And because it's not one size fits all, and it takes a village. And because there may be just some of the kind of thing that isn't quite working for the person. You see with the animals, and I know you've got the two dogs still with you.
Because absolutely, my rescue pups, Thor and Captain America, the Chihuahua boys. Thor is a Chihuahua mix. He's got the long hair and he looks like a lion. And then Captain America is the little apple Chihuahua, you know, little 5 pound, you know, here I am, Captain America, you know, he's great. And I also have a cat. His name is Monticello. And the three of them, for anybody who I often sometimes will work with women in person, if you're close by. The majority of my clients are international. So I do, whereas you do work with all over the world, all over the planet. But when someone lives close by, then they have the option to actually come and see me in person. And then they get to be in the space of my healing team my Thor, who was my first dog, my first rescue pup, and I taught my first Reiki workshop in Raleigh. I've been doing Reiki trainings for 20 years, but it was Reiki for animals, and so we had some dogs in the workshop, and I didn't know until I knew that he was such a healing dog. I mean, all animals are healing, but they don't all choose as their sole purpose to be healers in this lifetime. And that's what clearly Thor had done. And he would be able to point out when clients come see me, he uses his nose and he literally will point to which chakras are out of balance for people. And when I was giving the attunement for the Reiki, he would literally stand in front of me and support in the attunements for the participants.
Oh, wow. Yes, because I was going to ask, I was going to say, tell me more. We got some background voice going on there. Tell me more. How does a session look like with you? What sort of happens? So say somebody is coming to you in person. What does that look like?
Well, it really depends. Again, anybody that I work with, I always extend an exploration call. I'm sure like you do as well, just to see if it's, energetically we're a match, and I find out what it is that I can support them with. I mean, I have no limits and bounds in the work that I do. I am truly an oracle, which means I read people's souls. So it's sort of like Akashic record kind of work, but I just get downloads of their soul and what is needed. And often, if there is some trauma in their background, parts of our soul actually leave during, I'm sure you're aware of that, right? During the past, when if we're exhibiting or we've experienced, even it doesn't have to be massive trauma. It could be that they weren't seen or heard as a child, just when you just don't have your needs met, right? It doesn't have to be a massive, catastrophic, traumatic event that happened to us for us to have signs and, experiences of what we call PTSD, right? Post-traumatic stress disorder.
A mismatch, yeah. A small, a significant emotional event, just something.
Yes.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Yeah, that's beautifully said. And so, I get on a call or a Zoom with somebody and we chat, and I, find out exactly what they're looking for. And I don't typically, I'm not a one and done, which I think you could be really powerful if someone comes into your session, you're like, bam, and that's it. Maybe that's all they need. Right.
Yeah,
Sometimes
I do average 5 sessions. Occasionally it is.
That's right.
It depends on what they want, so and the person, everything's different. My sessions are long. How long are your sessions, Victoria?
Well, it depends. It really depends. So again, we do our strategy, and then typically people will commit to working with me for 3 to 6 months, depending on what the thing is. Yeah. So, and then sometimes it may be a little different, right? So someone may come to me and, we do a master session and it's, maybe 90 minutes or something. And I'll get that feeling when I talk to someone. I know if one, like you said, 1 or 2 sessions is something all that they need, or if it's going to be, a lot of the work that I do is about rewiring the brain. So,
absolutely.
Right. So the habit. So it's the patterns and the habits that they've been, taking part in and choosing, or that they've actually just downloaded or even inherited from, their parents. So sometimes, like, I can literally teach them the tools in one session, but we both know that's like being a dog trainer and saying, I can teach you everything you need to do with your dog in one session. I could, however, or a personal trainer saying, right here, eat this, do these exercises. Now off you go for the next 6 months. But, I've become their coach, their mentor, and their, just holding space for them for that amount of time so that they can create those new patterns in their brain. We know that it takes a minimal of 90 days, right? 90 days for it to really solidify and rewire the brain. It starts in about 21 to 30 days, to cultivate a new habit. But truly, in order to cultivate and really solidify that habit into our body, it's a good 90 days. So that's why often it's the longer term, situation.
And that's where it's quite interesting, because when I do hypnosis with somebody, it can be less time.
Yes.
Because actually you can repeat it and you repeat it and repeat it. And if they're listening, but they have to do the work.
That's right.
When people come and see us, they have to have the belief, they have to be open-minded. And it's not just you magically doing something. Yes, we have our intuition. Yes, we can get downloads and, this is what I'm going to use with you. And yes, we can give them techniques and strategies. But you know what? The person has to do it.
That's right. And it's interesting you said, because I'm a trained clinical hypnotherapist as well. And, if someone came to me for one very specific thing, but it's like, and I'm sure you find this, Claudia, it's like a game of whack-a-mole. So someone comes in for one thing,
never that
and then right. Yeah. So that's never so it's about the layers. So, the mother wound, the father wound, the sister wound. So it's like whack, 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 one thing comes up to be healed, as we call it, the shadow work. And then, we process that a little bit. And then we realize that actually underneath that is something else, and then something else, and then something else. And that, that's sort of the work that, that I've done.
Yeah, I agree. There's onion layers. Layers. And that's why it's never just one thing. The issue is never the issue. And as I say, people, we are not our behaviors. People, I want you to, can you get rid of this, and it was like, well, yeah, but actually I want to get, you have to, but the way I do it is, I think I've said this before, I draw the diagrams so that they understand what they're doing, because otherwise in their head, they still want you to just stop that, and that.
That's right.
With specific suggestions. And yes, you could, but I don't, in my opinion, Victoria, it won't necessarily last for that long. Not if that onion layer is that word triggered, if it's like oscillated again, we're going to go back to it. And so you let go of those things through your, I just love it. You see, that's why we were like this.
You're so great. I love you too.
So what's next? What have you got going on? Because you do retreats.
So good. So so thank you so much for asking. So my recent that I've given birth to it's called the Conscious Creators Sisterhood. And it's actually, a free platform that I've created, virtual. And so we recently had, I was divinely guided, like I always am, to give birth to something. And so it literally happened less than a month ago. And I put it out there, and there's such a huge response. I mean, we had like over 160 women, sign up to be a part of the community. And so, I'm meeting virtually once a month, and, it's a 90-minute session. And, really it's for the female, conscious creator who is looking for true sisterhood, but also looking for a way of doing business through the divine feminine lens. So, we need to bring balance both to the divine feminine, the divine masculine. But what's happening is a lot of women, as we show up in business. And again, I've run high level businesses for, 25, 30 years. And often it's the man's world, right? The boys' world. A lot of times I was in high level management, regional manager, and everybody else was a male, And so often women, we come to the place of doing business, and then we're doing it kind of like the boys' club. And so it's really teaching, women how to be and step into that divine feminine way of leadership, and not having to burn out, and not having to exhaust themselves, and not having to, do all that hustle, the doing. And again, we want the balance. We want because without the authentic masculine energy, you don't have the container, you don't have the structure, you don't have the processes. So you do need that. However, what's missing so much in at least what I've seen, and I've been in a lot of networking groups, women networking groups, so I've seen it, how women are not showing up authentically in their divine feminine energy of the being energy, the receiving energy, the going with the flow energy, using the moon cycles in your business. Yeah. So there's lots of fun. So anyways, that's what we do. We gather once a month, and, anyone can sign up for just to be with us. So that's pretty fun and exciting. And so that's what I've done recently that I was really excited about.
So I love that. So you were using the metaphor so you're encouraging women to become more of a container as opposed to a sieve, so that they don't burn out and they're not.
No, well, so it's really, I guess, what women, first of all, we need to understand truly about what is divine feminine and divine masculine versus toxic feminine and toxic masculine energy. Right. And that it doesn't mean man or woman. I know you know this. So when you come together, and so, for example, the divine feminine energy is receiving, right? The masculine is giving, right? Feminine is being, masculine is doing.
Action.
Feminine is flow, like the water element. Like if I were to dump this out, right? So if I don't have a container for my water, it's just going to be all over the table. So understanding how you might be showing up in your business with an imbalance in the masculine and the feminine energies. And so I teach women how to bring the balance to their business so they don't burn out, so they don't get exhausted, they don't feel depleted. Yeah, it's just a whole new way for most women. They don't even know that it's an option because it's how have we typically learned how to do business. And again, I'm not saying everyone, maybe there's lots of women out there that are doing it the divine feminine way. But again, being in business for 20 years and being around a lot of women in business, I see for the most part, that's not how it's done. It's like the hustle, the do. The nonstop. And then where's the receiving? Where's the being? Where's the trusting? So if you think about the brains, like I know you know about the hemispheres. So, the left brain is your analytical mind, your critical mind. And that's what you do. You're teaching people how to bypass the critical mind. So the left brain is that we would consider that the masculine part of the brain. And then the right brain is your creativity. It's your intuition. And so even think about, go back to school. Now, I know I'm not sure how it was for you growing up, but mostly, in public schools, I grew up in a place where we were always measured by by testing. And it was very structured. It was very masculine education in that you needed to sit still, keep your eyes forward and not fiddle or twiddle. When you get into a more creative way, like a Montessori school, that now we're bringing more of the divine feminine into in how we learn. Do you see? Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So that's what I'm doing with women. I'm teaching them a whole new way of being in business.
So balance and harmony.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So that
I love it. Yeah. Perfect words.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So again, that's we do similar stuff, just in different ways, because there are so many people out there that need help. That's so many, and there's so many different ways to help people, and it takes a village. So yeah. So I'm excited for you. Yeah, that's great. I want to join. Just come and say hello.
Yes, of course. You're welcome.
So what we'll do, Victoria, is we'll get your links and everything in the comments, so that people can find you. We'll get your website, because I'm sure it's all on there, isn't it?
Yeah, everything's on and again, it's right on there on the screen. I made it easy for everybody in case they want to jot it down. I guess the other thing that I'm having fun with, Claudia, is my podcast.
Oh, good.
So, that's great. So just like you, right? We love our podcast. And so it's called You Are the Universe. Everything's on my website and they can just easily access it there. So
brilliant. So honestly, I could, as I say, I mean, it's coming up because I know otherwise we'll be chatting here forever, and people will be going, "Oh, really?" So,
right.
We'll have to get together. And thank you for coming on, and thank you everybody for watching. So it's goodbye from me, Claudia Ricard, and it's goodbye from Victoria.
Victoria Haffer.
Take
Thanks,
care,
Claudia.
everybody.